So we're going to look at creating a statistics analysis. Okay, there are three that I've looked at currently. First one is IQ versus length of TV time, where I've managed to select the female participants and the male participants after doing a randomly selected stratified sample of 20%. Okay, and then I've shown them both in a scatter plot. Now you can see we've got things that we can comment on in relation to, like that we've got an outlier just at the bottom of that chart area just there. Okay, point 1414. Okay, which definitely is outside of my data range, so I can comment on that. We can see the trend is positive. Okay, slightly positive. Okay, and we can see that the points are quite a way away from the line, so at best that's going to be a moderate positive. Okay, whereas if we look at the male figures, that was the female, no, that was the male, sorry. Okay, if we look at the female figures, we can see it's a lot closer to the line. However, we've got a negative trend on this one. Okay, and it's a stronger negative trend than the boys are positive. Okay, and again, there is no outliers on this one. So to get to this point, what did I do? I'm going to just add another sheet in here. So this is where I'm going to put the information. Okay, I'm going to go to key stage 4, and you can see from the data that we've got some columns missing. A is missing, E, F, G is missing, and that's because when the data has been selected, some columns have been hidden. So if I click on there and I click on hide, you can see column E, F, G, H will become visible. Alright, now if it's in this original format, the first thing I'm going to do is select my participants. So the top column, top part of the spreadsheet is the females. Okay, and going back to my random number generator where we selected them, these are my female numbers. Okay, and 20%, I was going to get 36 of them, selecting lowest to highest, and my numbers went from 1 to 180. So this has randomly selected these values here. Okay, so just so that we can see, I'm just going to put this on a smaller version so we can see side by side. Okay, I'm going to collect each one of these cells, each one of these rows, to be able to be used. I want the headline, I want the title line. Okay, I'm going to hold control, and while I hold control, I'm going to click all of these numbers. So click number 4, click number 7, number 14, taking care that I'm choosing the ID number. Okay, their ID number, not the row number. Okay, so scroll down. Remember, when I'm clicking these, I have to hold the control button, otherwise it will cancel the ones I've already selected. And once I've got them all selected, so 52, 54, scroll down. If I want to scroll down, I release the control button and then press it again before I click the next row, and I just use the wheel on my mouse to roll down. You can use the tab over here to roll it down as well. So just going through this, and although it seems a little time consuming, okay, especially going through, I just want to make sure we've got them all so you can see where I'm actually getting all the information from. Okay, so just bear with it a second. 145, 148, 154, 157, 159. Okay, almost there. 164, 166, 168, 173, 178. They're all my numbers. Now I'm going to hold Control again and press C at the same time, and that's copied all of those cells. If I click to my next sheet, and again I can either click in the top cell or I can click on the top line, wherever. I'm going to click in the top cell and I'm going to hold Control and press V, and that will paste it in. Now what you can see, hopefully, if we look at these two, I'm going to go up and cancel these. Okay, you can see we've got B, C, D, H. If I go to the new cell, we've got A, B, C, D, and all of the cells have returned. Okay, which is why it looks so much different than what I first started with. So remember, I only want the IQ and TV, if that's what I'm going to do. I'll keep the year group and I'll keep the ID number. I don't need the names, so I highlight any columns that I don't need. Okay, I'm going to highlight all the way across to TV and IQ. I'm going to right mouse click, and once I right mouse click, I'm going to click hide. Okay, I'm going to highlight the rest. I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to click hide. So now all I've got is the year group, I've got the name, the ID number, sorry, and I'll just put ID in there so I know that that column is. I've got the TV hours and I've got the IQ. Okay, I'm just going to get the men's data and I'll just pause this for a second. So I've done the same thing now with the male data. So again, up here we can put female, and at the bottom we can put male, so we know which is which. Okay, so that's my data in there. Now it's to do the comparisons, now it's to create the graphs. So what I can do is, if I want to do a scatter graph comparing TV to IQ, I'm going to left mouse click and drag down and highlight the female two columns, the two female columns, so TV and IQ. If I click insert and then recommended charts, it will say, well, we suggest you use this particular chart. Okay, so you can see from the left hand side, you can pick whichever chart you want. Okay, but I'm going to pick on the scatter graph because that's what I want to show. I'm comparing two variables, so that's what I'm going to collect. Okay, so click on the chart and that will create my chart. I can drag that then to the side and you can see it highlights the chart that it's done. If I now do the same thing for the male data and click insert, recommended charts, scatter, OK, that gives me the same chart but this time for the men's. Okay, now from this particular chart we can see, if we click on the plus sign at this side, okay, we can add different elements to the chart. So we're going to add axes titles, so we can see these axes titles have come in. Okay, I'm going to add legend because that will not legend, sorry. I'll add trend line, so that will put me a trend line in. Now if I want to change the title, I want to change the axes titles, which I do. I left mouse click. So we can look at double clicking in the axis title and we can delete that part out. You can see on here for this one, if we look at the cells that we're dealing with, my TV hours start at 1 or 2 and go up to 70, whereas my IQ is all around the hundreds. So this vertical axis is going to be my IQ. If I double click in the bottom axis, again delete out, we know this is hours watching TV. and then just press outside of the graph to record that in. If I want to do a title, this is a scatter graph to compare effects of watching TV on IQ. Okay, and again that's given me a graph. If I want to now select on different aspects of that, I can click on the trend line, and you can see if I hover over these things, it will give me different information. So I'm going to click on the trend line. Okay, and what I can do is if I right mouse click it, okay, it would say report. It will give me some options, and I can click format trend line. Okay, and if I click on that, then these are the options I can use. I can change the color, so I can click on the fill. Right, and you can see we've got different buttons on the side here. Outline color. So if I click that to red, you can see my trend line is now in red. The width would give me the thickness of the line. Okay, so let's do that so I can see it a little bit clearer. Maybe not go that big. There you go, 2.25. Okay, I can choose what sort of line to use. I can have an arrow on it. Okay, if I click on the next one, I can do things like put in a shadow or a glow. For this sort of graph, I don't need that. And on the trend line options, we want it to be a linear line. Our line of best fit is always going to be linear. Okay. And if we go forward and reverse one period, okay, what that will do, you can see, is it's going to go forward and back on my trend line. Okay, and make that a little bit longer so it goes outside of my data. So if I want to do forecasts, okay, I can go forwards and back on the format. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm going to leave that as 0 because I don't want to extend my trend line. I only want my trend line to be as long as my data. Okay. If it asked me for a what the line equation of the line is, I can display the equation of this line. And you can see that's going to be minus 0.11x plus 103.75. So that's going to be my line equation if I want to display it. Okay, you can see I've clicked on the grid lines, and again I can do different things with those. I can change colour if I want to. Let's make them dark blue. Okay. If I click on the points and I want to change them into a different colour, some points you can click on and it will only be one point. So you want to click on a point where most of them become highlighted. Okay, and it might take a little bit of time to find these points. Okay, so there the one is. Okay, and if we click on the downward arrow on the series options, you can see here we've got plot area, we've got vertical axis, axis grid lines, axis title, trend line 1, trend line equation. Well, we want series IQ. That's the data we're plotting. Okay, so that's my series. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to now click back into the bucket, and we're going to say we've not got a line. We've got markers though. My little dots are the markers. So I click marker, left click on the marker, and you can see we've got the colours down here. We've got the border and we've got fill. Okay, so fill, let's go red, and you can see with that I've got a little blue circle around it. Okay, so I don't want that. I want to have the border as red as well. So there is no circles and no border on that. And you can see all of my dots are now red. Okay, you can see my trend line tends to merge in with that now, so I'm going to change the colour of my trend line to black so we can see that clearly. So we've named our axes, we've given it a title, we've changed the colour of our dots, we've put a trend line on, and we've even put the equation on. Okay, we can now make some assumptions based on that particular graph. Okay, so I'm going to go down to the men's graph. Now these dots are already in blue, so I'm going to leave it as blue. Okay, but this time, instead of clicking in, I'm going to click into, you can see my options here, axis title, trend line. Okay, and you can see we've got some more options down here. If I did a linear forecast, okay, then that would go past where my trend line is. Okay, I just want to go on linear. So we've got a trend line put on there. Okay, I'm just going to okay, there's my trend line. Again, I'm going to make that black, make it a little bit thicker so it's easier to see. Okay, my points I'm going to keep blue. Axes titles, again, double click and change them. Again, this is my IQ. On the bottom one, this is hours watching TV. What you can do if you want to, if you're using the same information, you could copy the title, Control and C for copy. After it's been highlighted, go into this one and Control V, and again it will paste that in. Sometimes it does do things, you can see with the different size of the size of the text. We might need to then change the text size by making it smaller so it looks the same. Okay, or you can just type it in. So again, we've got all my points plotted. The only thing I'm missing this time is on the trend line is display the equation, and this one is 0.1151x plus 97. So again, we can put the equation in. We can see that this is a slightly positive graph. So that's how to change the colours. It's how to change the axes and add axes titles. Okay, and that's to do a scatter graph. If we want to do some other data, and I'm just going to, on these, I've just put some different data groups in there. So again, all the information's in there. This time we'll look at let's look at hair color. Just hide that, and eye color. So we just go hair color and eye color. Again, just hide any information you don't want. Okay, and this time I'm going to do this amount, this amount of data. I just want to know hair color and eye color. Okay, again, if I want to do the females at the top, insert recommended charts. This time it's come up with a bar graph. Okay, now I don't have to have this one, I can pick whichever one I want. I can have a column graph like that, pie chart, bar graph. Okay, so let's go for clustered column. Oops. Now, for some reason, you can see this hasn't come out as I wanted. Okay, so if I go change chart style, okay, and so let's delete that graph off. Okay, go into it again, insert recommended chart. It's given me that graph. Click OK. Okay, so we can see here we've got count of hair color, what the hair colors are, all the different hair colors. Okay, and then the different bar colours. Now I could do a key. Again, if I click onto the left hand side of that graph, let's go on there. Okay, we've got axes titles we can put on. Okay, so we've got an axes title on each of these. We could put a legend being total number. You can see each time I put different things on, it will alter. It's still got the same values, because it needs a little bit more room on the side. It shrunk the bars down. So we don't need a legend on this one because we've got our name of each colour there. All the bars can be the same colour. Okay. If I now think, well, I want boys compared to girls. Okay, what I could do is go back to, oh, we've got this sheet. So we've got hair colour and we've got hair colour. So we've got two different categories now, boys and girls. Okay, going to insert recommended charts. There is no recommendation available for the data you selected. Does not contain anything. Okay, so we could click on different charts at the top here to see how they would look, and you can see none of those are coming up with a relevant graph for us. Okay, so let's go to just the boys and do the boys on their own. Recommended chart. This time it's done a vertical bar chart instead of a horizontal. Okay, so we got again information there of count of hair colour, and we could put boys in the title. Okay. We could add axis titles if we want to. There's no point in adding a trend line because trend lines will only work on scatter graphs. Okay, I could add data labels on this one to say how many each one is. Data labels would work on this particular one. Okay, and then once I've got that, I can copy the graph, and if I'm then going to present it in a different format, like in Word, okay, I could copy the graph into Word, and that's my graph done. And then you can do your conclusions. Most common color. Okay, just going to drag that down a little bit, and you can type in, and then you can do your conclusions, and your graphs are there for you. You've copied them from Excel. Okay, all your data is in Excel, and if you save this as you've gone, you can see as we've done a graph, what that's done is it's taken the data and it's copied it into a separate sheet. So there's the girls. I can copy that one into the Word document. Okay, so oops. So there's it, the girls, and we can see brown is the most common hair colour of girls, and black and brown is the most common hair colour of boys. Okay. The best thing to do with Excel in relation to this when you're trying to plot graphs is just have a go and just try plotting different things. Okay, remember it was from this particular graph we used. I could have quite as easily done, let's look at eye colour, insert, recommended charts. Again, it gives me a column graph. What happens if I have a pie chart? Okay, is that going to give me anything? No, for some reason that's not giving me anything on the pie chart. Okay. So cancel that, and again we'd go with the graph they suggest. Okay. Now if I wanted to take this value here, okay, let's see if we can get that, and we try and insert a graph from this chart. There we go. Now we've got the data selected and it's got a numerical value for me. I can click different types of graph. Okay, we've got the total values, so now we could show it, instead of showing it in a bar chart, we could show it as a pie chart, which may make it easier to see. And again, you can see it will automatically put a legend in of the different types of eye color. So just have a play about with the different graphs and see how you get on. Okay, always save it as you go. I'm just going to save that. Okay, that will save your work. Okay, and then again, if you wanted to copy it and paste it into a Word document, okay. And then you can start writing your conclusions. Okay, again the same thing happens with that. If I change colours, if I wanted to change colours here, if I do shape fill, okay, I could change colours on the different legend. So if that's blue green, once I've got it highlighted, let's do blue green. If this one's brown, again right mouse click, click fill. Alright, let's make that one brown. Green, right mouse click, let's make that green. And then hazel, right mouse click, let's make that, I don't know, let's say there we go. So again, you can change the different colours for the pie chart as you see fit. Hopefully that's been of use.